caught my wife cheating and didn't tell her anything for 2 weeks and arranged a huge get-together. Original post, I, 31 male, have been married to my wife, 27 female, for nearly 3 years. And we have been quite happy in our marriage. We have lived together even before our marriage, and I've never doubted my wife about her loyalties because I never had to. We have had our fights here and there, but it was never anything extreme. I was sure that if my wife would be unhappy at all, she would let me know. I had never thought of her as someone to hide and do things behind my back, so I was gutted when I found a couple of extremely friendly messages on her phone. Her phone was on the dining room table, and I went to grab it because she asked me to bring it to her bedroom. It lit up with a notification. When I picked it up, and I wouldn't be human if my eyes wouldn't wander to the screen, there were a couple of messages from Kara, and they were very personal. I didn't know Kara, and I was immediately suspicious that it was a fake name just by seeing the nature of the text. When I reached the room, the screen turned black and I gave her the phone. When she opened it, she instantly asked me if I had seen her notifications. I told her no, and she said that she had a notification from a kid's game and she was embarrassed that I had seen it. I assured her that I hadn't seen anything, and she went back to her phone happily. I kept looking at her expressions though, because now I was very suspicious and my mind wouldn't go anywhere else. She was smiling, and that smile remained all the while she was texting that Kara person. My head was making up the worst case scenarios, and it was making me angry and so sad that I left the room and told her I would sleep in the living room because I had some work to get done. She didn't even look up from her phone when I picked up the pillow and went outside to the couch. I was so restless because I kept thinking about her messages, and it created a bunch of thoughts in my mind. I'd never once thought that she would ever cheat on me, and now I wasn't so sure. I let it go that night, but now that I had my doubts, I kept checking her phone whenever I had the chance. I needed to put my mind at rest, and I needed to know the truth. I so wanted it to be untrue. But then one day I saw a text from the same name again. It was a time and a place, and there were nicknames and emojis, and it sounded a lot like a date planned. I knew I should have just confronted her, but I was so mad at her for ruining our perfectly good marriage that confronting didn't seem cool enough. I went to the mentioned place and the mentioned time and waited for her to show up. She did show up a little late, and then she kissed the guy in front of the cafe. It was sort of the hello kiss, but it was a kiss all right. The sort of kiss you give your husband when you come back from work. And then I saw the guy. I knew that guy. He was her colleague, and I had met him a couple of times when I picked up my wife from the office. I knew his name, and I knew for a fact that he was married. I wanted to go there and scream at them, confront them both. I wanted to cry, but I held it together because I wanted to give her a taste of her own medicine. I waited patiently for 2 weeks. It was so hard to just be in the same house as her, eating dinner with her, sleeping in the same bed with her, and talking to her about anything was torture. Honestly, when I knew that she was betraying me all this time. But I bided my time because I didn't want her to get away with it so easily. We have all of our friends over every month for a game night of sorts. It was like tradition. So I invited all of our friends 2 weeks after I found out that she was cheating. My wife and I organized the food, the games, the drinks like we always did. She's competitive at games, so she loved these get-togethers. She was always very excited about game nights and seeing all of her friends. We started the games after everyone came in, and in the middle of Pictionary, I put a note in the jar right before my wife's turn. She picked up that note, and her face went from smiling to confused to embarrassed in mere seconds. She looked at me with tears in her eyes, and I got up and told her everything I knew in front of everyone. They were all pretty shocked too, because just like me, they had never expected something like this from my wife. She told me to please let her explain, and I said fine. I wanted to hear what BS story she was going to make up. She started crying and told me that I was jumping to conclusions, that she was just friends with her colleague. Then I told her to pack her bags and leave, and she changed her tune real quick. She started saying that it was just a mistake and she never wanted to cheat, but it just happened. How does it just happen? Do you forget about your spouse all of a sudden? But at least she accepted it. I told her very calmly that she had to pack her bags and leave because I couldn't stand her anymore in my home. And I told her that I was going to talk to her colleague's wife too because he was not getting away with it either. All of her friends were sympathetic towards me and trying to console her too. I was glad that she wouldn't be alone after that mess of a night. I mean, I didn't have any love for her at the moment, but I didn't want her to be completely alone. I couldn't just turn off the caring, but some of her friends offered her their guest rooms for the night. She told me that she was going to a hotel and it was messed up that I did it in front of all of her friends. She told me that we need to talk when we're both calm. I honestly didn't want to deal with her at the moment, so I agreed, even though I didn't want to listen to any more of her lies and made-up stories. I'm having a hard time with all of this. Am I unable for exposing my wife's lies in front of other people like this? Now for the updates. Update 1. After my wife left, she kept trying to contact me. I ignored most of her calls and messages because I needed time to collect myself. My wife had been a colossal mess in the span of a month. I did have a chat with her colleague's wife. Even she had expected something was going on with her husband. She told me that she was going to divorce him and I should do the same to my wife. I agreed with her, but it was not easy for me. I have loved my wife for a long time and we were happy. We didn't have any big problems in our marriage, and she still went ahead and did this. After about 2 weeks of her living in a hotel and begging me to let her in and listen to what she had to say, I let her in reluctantly. She immediately started crying. She told me that she only loved me and that she made a mistake. I asked her how long it was going on, and she told me for a year. I was so heartbroken that I could have cried, but I didn't because I was enraged too. I was so angry at her for ruining our great marriage for no reason at all. She couldn't tell me one reason as to why she did this. She wasn't unhappy. She didn't fall out of love with me. She kept trying to convince us to give our marriage a second chance, but I was so done with her. I told her to leave and not contact me for a while. I told her I needed to think, and then I will get back to her. She left, but she kept begging me not to give up on my marriage like there's nothing left of it now. Update 2. It's been about 6 months since I told my wife to leave. We have met maybe twice since then. Both times she kept apologizing and begging me not to divorce her. I was so torn because I loved her and it's not easy to just give up on that. I wanted to divorce her because of what she had done, but at the same time, I couldn't bring myself to head in that direction right now. Our whole marriage was on hold at the moment. We were living separately, we were not talking, and I was just taking my time to get comfortable with the situation. I knew I had to end our marriage because I had no trust in her right now. I could never trust her fully. She kept telling me that she won't do it again and that I could trust her. I was going to give her a chance to talk again when I got an email from her colleague's wife saying that they had gotten a divorce. And she thought that her ex-husband and my wife were still in contact. God, I hope that she was wrong. I still wanted to believe that my wife wouldn't do that. She couldn't be that cruel. I told my wife to come for a chat, and the first thing that she did when she saw me was apologize like always. The first thing that I did was ask her if she was still talking to the guy that she was having an affair with. She hesitated, and I knew right then that I told her just to tell me the truth for once. And she confessed that she had talked to him when he was going through his divorce. She tried to tell me that they were friends and he needed someone to talk to. He assured me that nothing was going on between them. I didn't even hear anything after she told me that she had been in contact with him. The minuscule trust that I had in her just vanished with that confession. I could never trust her again. And there is no point in staying in a marriage if you can't trust or love your spouse unconditionally. I told her to expect divorce papers soon, and if she had anything left in the house, she could take it with her. She was crying and telling me not to do this, but there was no other option. I was relieved that we didn't have children. Otherwise, I would have to see her when it was just so hard to look at her face. We got a divorce. She left without too much noise. I don't care if she goes back to that guy again. I needed to let her go to move on with my life. Going on to story 2. Update: me, 24 female with a lovely daughter, 4 female. She made up a crazy story and got CPS called on me. Freaking out, long. More info about her life and her dad and my final decision. Original post: yesterday was the most hilarious yet terrifying day of my life. I dropped my daughter off at preschool in the morning. It is a public school. We went home, cleaned a little, then decided to take the day and do absolutely nothing. Around 1 o'clock, I hear a knock on my door. I don't answer. Strangers showing up on my doorstep freaks me out. I get a phone call. I think it's weird, but again, don't answer because I didn't know the number. I decided to do something with my life and shower, but not until I checked my voicemail. Oh, fucking shits. This is Jen with Child Protective Services. Please call me at such and such number. Insert panic attack. I call back. Freak out, wondering what the hell I did. Did someone else do something? I'm about in tears with sheer panic. Jen answers and I immediately ask if everything is okay. She says yes, however, she needs to meet with me in person. I tell her to come on over. When she gets to my house, she proceeds to tell me that my daughter told the school nurse I kicked her down the stairs. I just sat there with my jaw on the floor, eyes wide open in utter disbelief. She checks my house for who knows what and asks me a few questions. Apparently my daughter rubbing her eye, giving her a red mark, and asked to see the nurse about it. She told the CPS worker this big story about going camping with mommy and daddy, how fun it was to sleep in a tent. The next morning we picked up a batch of kittens and she was super excited, jumping up and down to see them, when I supposedly punted her little body down 20 stairs into the concrete basement. She expressed her love for me and I would assume that she was giggling the whole time. I just see it. She also told the CPS worker about her 2 sisters and how daddy lives next door. Absolutely in shock, not knowing to laugh or cry, I explained to Jen that we did not go camping. Her father and I do not talk, nor does he live anywhere close. He has no sisters, there are no kittens in the home, and I would never kick my child down the stairs. I don't even spank her. Jen says that she has to talk to a couple of character witnesses and will give me a call. I pick my daughter up, and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Mom, I got to see the doctor today," which is when I realized she just was fucking wanting to see the nurse. She loves the doctor, the attention, the sympathy. She knew she was lying, but probably felt like it was a big deal, and not wanting to get caught, she came up with this elaborate story. I would assume she was intimidated, yet loving the sympathy from the staff. I asked her what she told them, and she giggled, "You kicked me down the stairs." And I told her this was not funny, you can't make these stories up. I made her go tell the teacher this was not true and apologize to the teacher, but it didn't look like she was convinced. So tonight we have parent-teacher conference, and it was going to be awkward. I'm terrified my long talk didn't stick with my daughter, and she'll keep fibbing about the story, or they won't believe her retraction and try to take her from me. She is 4 and is completely lost in how huge of a deal this is. I am considering putting her into child therapy. She has had a weird life, and I think it wouldn't hurt to start early on with her mental health, considering her father is a nutcase. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, however she saw it, but it left me with major depression and PTSD, and I feel it may have affected her too. I also have been debating the therapy because she says things that I don't know if are quite normal for her age. Things about her appearance. She has told me that she hates herself, she's not pretty, etc. She reminds me so much of myself as a child, and I wasn't okay. I want her to be okay. I want her to be mentally healthy, and I am concerned. I am concerned about this lie and how things are going to play out today. I guess I'm looking for words of support, suggestions for dealing with her self-esteem, tips for dealing with CPS, and for suggestions on how to help my daughter understand making up elaborate stories can get people in trouble. Edit. Thank you all so much. I believe therapy is going to be a good start for both of us. As this person pointed out, my own self-esteem may be a reason for hers. As I thought about it, I could think of a time or two I put myself down and she was in the bathroom. I guess I never really thought about it. I have a meeting with my therapist tomorrow afternoon, so I will start by talking to him about the situation and ask that he recommend a family and child therapist. Doing this alone has always been really hard. I have a constant fear of failing her. I feel like seeking assistance is a good option since we're flying solo. This kid is my life, my best friend, my everything, and I want to give her the happiness I never had growing up. I'll update in a few days after the CPS thing calms down and I speak with my therapist. Thank you. Now for the update. This is a big long story about how CPS was a come to Jesus meeting for me and a realization about how smart my child is and what she deserves, some great drama and past decisions I'm finally correcting. If you read it, thank you. Hey everyone, first of all, I want to give you the usual thank you to everyone who took the time out of their day to give me their words of encouragement, opinions, as well as their own kids saying the darndest things. It really calmed my nerves and brightened my day. It also gave me a lot to think about in regards to my parenting, how my daughter is perceiving life while transitioning into preschool, and what I needed to talk to my own therapist about. Secondly, I'd like to address some of the more controversial comments. A lot of people felt one way or the other. Oh God, you people think therapy is the answer for everything. Don't reward her with more doctor visits. She's just a kid. Or, my God, your daughter is a pathological liar. Of course she needs therapy. Holy shit, that's not normal. Therapy now. All I have to say is that you are both right and wrong. My child does not have some kind of disorder and needs immediate mental health counseling. She's just a kid who hasn't yet learned the importance of clarifying a story or understand how her lying can hurt people. She has a wild imagination and probably didn't want to get in trouble for making a story up and soaked in the sympathy she was receiving. We have since had several talks about the difference between fibs, stories, and lies. She seems to get it. On the other hand, I'm excited for therapy because I feel like it's going to help me figure out the best approach to parent her. I think she has soaked in some of my negative energy. She is bound for daddy issues, and it wouldn't hurt for her to get into a safe place where she can play and talk to someone about how she's perceiving the world. This person can give me advice on how to help her and guide her throughout her life. How to install a sense of self-worth and happiness I never had, and I'm learning to only find through therapy myself at age 24. Better late than never. A little more about her dad and why I think therapy is important. It might have seemed like he was absent in my last post, but what I meant by he's nowhere close, we don't talk, is we aren't neighbors, LOL, and he hasn't been around lately. Her dad comes and goes as he pleases. I have let him because I've always thought a child should have a father, and some was better than none. I felt like it would be fucked up if I kept a daughter from her father. I couldn't do that to him and was scared for the long-term effect on her. I previously stated he was abusive, so anytime I floated the idea to him that I could just stop this game, he manipulated me and make me feel terrible as if I was angry with him and keeping her from him to hurt him, but in turn just hurting her. I feel like the story of Mommy and Daddy took me camping was a cry for help. She sees all the nuclear families in preschool and is wondering why Dad and Mom aren't together, so she makes up a fantasy land in her head where we are, which is wild because honestly I don't think she likes her dad, and I swear I have nothing to do with that. Read on, you'll probably find out why. I always encourage her to love him and tell her how much he loves her and can't wait to see her. She always cries and begs me to not make her go unless she can hang out with Nana the whole time. She has to see her at his mom's. I won't allow it any other way. I try not to pry too hard, but anytime I ask, why don't you want to see your dad? She just says, I don't know. This is another reason I think therapy is crucial. Maybe there is something she isn't comfortable telling me. I should also mention he fell down the stairs a few weeks ago, so I think this may be where she picked up the stairs story. A little more of an update. As I said before, I'd update with CPS after I talked to my therapist. Well, CPS talked to their character witnesses, my mom and stepdad, who both had nothing but great things to say about me and confirmed that my daughter has a wild imagination. The caseworker said that she would close my case to my mother, but I haven't heard anything which concerns me. I have called and left VMs yesterday and today, so I guess I just keep waiting. I saw my therapist on Wednesday. We talked about how this was kind of a blessing in disguise as it made me see the value in my life. Remember, major depression? It made me realize everything I had and that it could all be taken away from me. We talked about the self-esteem thing, and I realized that I had thought I had all my bases covered in parenthood, but I never thought about how my own self-worth would reflect into her. We talked about how it's great that I'm active in recovery from my long battle with depression, finally, and how from the time I was pregnant and getting beaten until the time I had a nervous breakdown and got the help that I needed this summer. My daughter had 2 people who hate themselves in her life. It's great that I'm helping myself and committed to bettering myself and life. I'm excited to work on my relationship with her more and thrilled for every free second that I have with her. But she still has one negative influence who I've let poison her for way too long, who didn't appreciate the little things like I do. The last time he saw his child was on August the 30th. He called me angry because him and his mom got into it. I talked to his mom. She said that she was joking with my daughter as usual, and he just flipped his lid. His mom told him he couldn't stay there then. He freaked and started packing. I told him to take my daughter to my mom's, and I would come to talk to him. We talked about how his mom is overbearing and how he looked me right in the face and said he didn't freak out like he used to at me. Mind you, he freaked out on me this spring in front of my daughter because my boyfriend was helping me run errands and we dropped her off together. Then stormed out and left my daughter with his mom all weekend. So I know for a fact this side is still in him. But I believed him. I called his sister when I left and she told me that he had in fact thrown a classic fit, telling my daughter Nana is crazy and we're never going to see her again, throwing shit around, etc. Since August 30th, I have given him 4 more chances to see her. He got a DUI, wrecked his truck, lost his job, and stopped paying child support months ago. Why was I still letting this continue? I felt he deserved to have his daughter, right? How can one keep a kid from their dad? My birthday weekend, he backed out because of the mom thing, and he didn't have anywhere to have her. The next weekend, he backed out because he fell down the stairs. This weekend, he backed out because he exhausted himself running errands and is in excruciating pain, and asked to take her Wednesday, actually Monday through Friday, but I said no. Maybe Wednesday because no school Thursday. Also at this point, his mom will let him back in. Wednesday morning, he texts me, "Hey, I have to work all day, so I probably will just get her in the morning." And I had a moment of clarity. The night before, my boyfriend got angry with me as we were talking about the situation. He has told me over and over I need to stop letting him come and go. He also kept saying it's not his decision or place. I know how he feels and stopped asking him for advice if I won't take it. I thought because he grew up without a dad, he should understand why I would want my daughter to keep seeing hers. When her dad texted me and bailed again in the morning with work as an excuse, when he doesn't even have a car or a job, I wanted to find my boyfriend and give him the biggest apology for being so stubborn. He was right the entire time. This was more harmful than beneficial. I was an idiot, a big idiot. So my therapist and I talk about what a negative effect her dad is having by hating himself, self-destructing, and feeling entitled to a fatherhood he has done absolutely nothing to deserve. He's still abusive, and I'm still easily manipulated. I've been scared he would take me back to court and get joint custody. I'm an idiot for not chopping him completely out of our lives the first time he beat me, 9 months pregnant. I held on to the idea my daughter has a dad when she simply doesn't. I tried to force him to be one, and he's not. My therapist told me to stop looking at this with feelings and take myself out of the situation and look at it logically. I stopped feeling empathy for his bad luck this month and put myself in his situation. I'd do anything to see my child no matter what shitty shit I was going through. He does nothing but make excuses. I realize he has to get out of her life until he can handle being a consistent, healthy factor, if ever. He did this to himself. I'm not a monster. He is harming my child, and I am going to stop standing for it and protect her. I had it backwards. No dad is better than this dad, which my boyfriend looked me in the eyes last night and went on about how if this keeps going amazingly as it is, he can't wait to help fill that void. Not that I need him to, but it was nice to hear someone else really care about her. I should also note that my child's father was only ever a good dad when I'm single and constantly asks if we can talk about getting back together. This is also the only boyfriend I have ever brought around my child, and I do it sparingly. Thursday morning rolls around and I already know when he texts me, I'm just going to ignore it. I wanted to take my day off and spend it with my kid. We went to the zoo and went shopping. I got her Her most favorite toy ever. I can't believe it, Mommy. Thank you. It was a great day. She deserved it. We deserved a day to bond and work on our constant, consistent relationship. Not him, not he, who comes for one day and leaves for the next 45, erasing all that bonding. I'd be there tomorrow. I'd be there the next day. I'd be there forever because I love my child, and I'm goddamn mama bear, and it's high time I act like it. He doesn't even text me to pick her up Thursday morning. No sweat off my back. Then about 10 p.m. he texts him. Hey, sorry I've been so unreliable. Can we try Saturday through Sunday? I have so much shit going on right now. It's stupid, and the whole not having a vehicle is really screwing it all up. Me, honestly, you should probably just take some time and get your shit figured out. I'm tired of this same old song and dance, and she doesn't need someone teetering. Him, I'm not trying to teeter. I would just like to get a set schedule of every other weekend, plus when you need help. Me, continuing text. In and out of her life, let me know if and when you are ever ready to be a constant factor and to stick to a regular visiting schedule. I'm not going to keep allowing you to give my daughter less than what she deserves from you. Figure it out. Bye. Me, just seeing the I'm not trying to teeter text. Save it. I've heard it over and over. We've done this over and over. She doesn't want to spend time with you, and she's old enough to know why, so I'm not going to make her. Like I said, bye. He doesn't fight or argue or call, he just shuts up, which is probably the most terrifying part about this. I expected war and he went silent. I'm having an extra lock installed on my front and back door now. I spoke with my lawyer to make sure that I'm within my rights to pull this. I gave her a copy of the custody agreement. I have full and visitation is up to me, as well as a written letter stating he is not allowed to pick her up and they are to notify me if he tries. I called child support and found he is $5,777.92 in arrears. I'm debating whether or not I drive by the place he's staying so I can figure out the address and turn him in. The first thing he said when I told him about CPS was, "Oh, you didn't give them my address, did you?" Do I feel like a dick? Like I might be doing something wrong? My daughter should have her father. Yes, the stupid in me that has no self-worth feels that way. But when I remove the feeling and look with logic, I see that doing this and getting my child into therapy are probably the two best things I'll do for her childhood, along with bettering myself. So in a way, I'm thankful CPS came to my door. It made me see what I had to lose. I'm thankful for therapy and for helping myself. I'm excited to keep making the right moves, as to not fuck my kid up, to not fail her. But if CPS could just go away now, that'd be great. If anyone has advice on how to handle the upcoming crap storm her father is probably planning, please tell me. Because now I have to figure out if Nana is safe. He rarely was there anyway, but I'm not 100% confident that Nana will keep her word and not let him know when she's there. Although she's told me hundreds of times he's a piece of shit and she'd rather have me at family functions than him. She supports everything that I do, thinks my boyfriend is adorable, and the only reason she's let the dad in the house is so that he can have a relationship with his daughter. I haven't even talked to her yet, so advice on how to tell her what I'm doing and what she will need to do would be appreciated. So thank you for reading. I know this went completely into a different story on you. I know I will catch a lot of criticism for my decisions no matter what path I take or have taken. The most important thing is, I believe now more than ever, I am doing the right thing and it's better late than never. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.